All right.
Speaking of passes, let's bring on someone who knows a thing or two about completing some passes at the highest levels. That is Shaun King, who joins us now, brought to us by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel right now is something a little different for everyone. Starting now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime you want. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to download America's #1 sportsbook. And with that, we are thrilled to welcome in Shaun King to the program. How you doing today, Shaun?
I'm good, fellas. Listen, the truth does not have emotions, man. Tom Brady doesn't color outside the lines. That's why he's a marketing dream.
Oh, boring.
Brands don't have to worry.
Right. He was so boring. They're wasting money on him, Shaun.
Well, what did they think they were getting? He makes $1 gazillion because brands don't have to worry about him saying anything outside of the ordinary. The hard part about that job, because I've done it before, I think Dustin has too, is just telling the truth about people that you're friends with, people that you communicate with. Can you criticize them on national TV even when it's the right thing to do?
I'll tell you what,
you're
Shaun,
going to hear from them when
Shaun,
you do it.
It gets a lot easier when you've been out of the league for 15 years and then you don't know anybody, so then you can be super critical. Yeah, right.
Hey, but we're not here to talk about Tom Brady because Tom Brady's got his rings. The Patriots fan base loves him. The Bucks fan base loves him. We're here to talk about the Cleveland fan base, who's had 38 different starting quarterbacks since 1999. You talked about the optimism bubble, Jay Crawford. They just want great quarterback play. They've never seen the 85 touchdown, 28 interception Deshaun Watson that the Texans saw the last 3 years that he played there. They've seen the 15 touchdown, 11 interception guy the 3 years he's been in Cleveland.
Hey, so Shaun, I'm going to tell you what. I got a chance to watch the All 22, and the first thing that jumped out on me was the fact that there were guys open. There were guys open. The gimme throws, some of the gimme throws are there, and sometimes he's running out of a clean pocket. So there is some stuff that I saw, and I was waiting for you to get up here because I wanted to cross-reference it because there are some throws that are there, even though when you watch the regular game, you're like, man, ain't nobody open or the line, but there was some throws to be had there.
Well, let me address that point here. I think the organization has to reevaluate how they view the preseason. The NFL is the only professional sports league out of the group that doesn't take the opportunity to have practice reps, live practice reps. Everybody wants to sit their starters in the preseason. We don't want to get hurt. Deshaun Watson and those 10 other starters on offense needed reps. Yes. They look rusty. They look out of whack at times. They didn't look like they were ready for a game that actually counts on the record books. But I'm going to start here because hopefully I'll be on here every week. We're going to start with what I feel like is the greatest issue surrounding Deshaun Watson. When you look around the league, the great ones, the ones that come through, whether things are going great or going bad, are the ones that have what I call bulletproof emotions. It's around 2 seeds. They don't get too high that they lose control. They don't get too low that they lose confidence. For context and reference, a guy that gets too high is Will Levis from the Tennessee Titans. He throws a comeback route on a rope. I mean, he's on the sideline rubbing his hair. He's yelling at people. You think he's the lead role in a movie, and he comes back and does what? He implodes, right? He throws a pick six to the Bears. They take it down. Man. They win the game. A guy that gets too low and loses confidence is Daniel Jones from the Giants. You can tell the minute that there's an incompletion, he gets that bewildered look in his eyes. The head goes down. He goes to the sideline. Team has no confidence in him whatsoever. Deshaun has to get better control of his emotions. He's an apex predator, but he doesn't act like it. An apex predator goes out to hunt, right? But he don't always kill something, right? He don't always come back, but he doesn't lose confidence. He gets back up, he goes and hunts again. I don't see that swag with Deshaun that I saw in Houston. Wow. That belief that made everybody around him confident no matter what was going on in the game.
Shaun, can you get that back?
That's what we're trying to find out. I think you can get it back if you hadn't gotten paid. I think it's harder to get it back when you've already now got the big bag. I think Marvin Hagler said it best. It's hard to get up and run when you sleep in satin sheets, right? So is the hunger still there? Is the hunger still there? Does he desire now for his legacy to be of an elite quarterback now that he's already gotten paid? That's only a question that Deshaun Watson can answer.
Unlike Tom Brady, Shaun is not afraid to be questioning guys.
I love it.
Which is great.
That's what we want.
And I had Shaun on my podcast about a month ago, and he was fantastic. And I remember asking Shaun, what about the mental hurdles that Deshaun Watson could get over? And what about this? And what about that? And your response was basically like, get over it already. Let's go. Play ball. There's no excuses. And there's been a lot of excuses made for Deshaun. We're seeing them again after this game. And I'm with you. Like, I wasn't thinking that way. You kind of moved me in this direction. And now even more so. I don't want to hear any excuses. He's got to play better. They paid him what they did, and they traded what they did for him to lead them and be the star on this team. And he's been anything but his entire time here, in my opinion.
And I think that's a part of sitting on the Iron Throne. I don't know how many of you guys watch Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah.
One of the greatest shows ever. Right? That's one of the one things about sitting on the Iron Throne that comes with it is criticism, ridicule, malice. That's a part of being at the top. People trying to pull you down. I think Deshaun did some good things in the game. I think he looked rusty at times. I'm going to talk about a sequence of drives in the second quarter where I thought he played his worst football and the game kind of got out of hand. But the talent's there. Guys, there's a situation, I think it was the second drive of the second quarter. He gets out of a sack that maybe only 2 or 3 other guys in the National Football League can get out of. But then he doesn't complete the play. Akins is wide open. He throws it a little short. Like, he's close, but he's got to will himself to get back to being a guy that not only makes great plays, but believes that he's going to make the great plays.
Shaun, talking about the psyche of the quarterback, I think we all agree it's the most important position in all of sports. It's so much of the outcome hinges on the play of the quarterback. I remember in your early days in Tampa, there was a lot of going back and forth. You came in and you took the team on a run, and I believe you made it all the way to the NFC title game against the Rams. In the offseason here, there was a situation where Joe Flacco came in last year and willed this team to the playoffs. He balled out. There's no other way to say it. We had the conversation on the set. I was insistent, you have got to bring Joe Flacco back. That offense clicked, and it looked as good as it has since Baker Mayfield had success here. And there were those on the panel that said, no, he's got to go because he's going to be a distraction. Deshaun doesn't want him here. At first bad play, you're going to have the fans screaming for Joe Flacco. So he's gone. He's not here anymore. He's not an option. What do you make of all of that talk about getting the competition out of town to grease the skids for success for a thin-skinned, rabbit ears starter?
Well, let's be honest here. The only person that's not getting fired in the building over with the Browns facility is Deshaun Watson. When they wrote that guaranteed 5-year deal, he's there. So if guys are going to fall this year, here's how I think it's going to go. It'll start with Ken Dorsey, and then Stefanski will go back to calling plays. And if it doesn't get better when that happens, then it'll end with Stefanski, and they'll bring a whole new staff in. But Deshaun Watson's not getting benched unless he's hurt. He's not getting fired because he's on a guaranteed contract, which is why the rest of the NFL was looking at the Browns with a side eye when they signed him to that guaranteed deal. It really prevents you from moving on from said player.
Yeah, but still, to have a competent backup in the system, to me,
I don't know. Jameis is a competent backup.
I'd rather have Joe Flacco.
The Browns
he at least have time in the system.
Jay, I agree with your general point that they shouldn't run him out because the starting quarterback is soft if we feel that's the reason. But ultimately, you're not winning in the playoffs with Joe Flacco, so what's the difference?
No, you're not. But if this play continues at some point, and you're right, Deshaun, they can't fire him. They're stuck with him. But if it looks like this for the first 4 or 5 games,
you got to play Jameis at some point.
You got to make a switch. Yeah. And my point to that is, I would much rather switch to a guy that played in this offense last year and had success than a guy that's new to the system and who knows what we're going to get from Deshaun or from Jameis Winston.
That's why people people are a little upset. I'm along the lines of you. Like when Jimmy Haslam wrote that check, and they brought Deshaun in here, and they put all the assets and things in it. Oh, they're gonna play him 17 weeks, and that's just the angst that people gonna have to deal with. It may look bad, But they're going to let the thing ride out for at least 17 games so he gets his money worth. Am I wrong in that?
Not at all. And if we're being honest, Dallas is a really good football team. And Deshaun Watson is not the only reason the Browns lost to the Cowboys, but because he's the most high profile, because he has the guaranteed contract, to whom much is given, much is required. And he just has to embrace that and understand that when this team has success, he's probably going to get the credit. When they don't have success, he's probably going to get the blame. He's got to prepare himself for that, and he's got to go out and be Deshaun Watson. Stop trying to fit into this bubble of a pocket quarterback. Like the gift that God gave you, the gift that Joe Flacco goes to sleep at night and wishes that he had was the ability to change the game from an athletic standpoint. He's got to be better when he leaves the pocket of keeping his head downfield, creating explosive plays, not just scrambling to run, but scrambling to allow big plays to happen down the field. Like there's so many talents and gifts that he has that I feel like he minimizes himself on game day trying to be something that he's not.
Great point. Mike?
Shaun, when we were talking about setting this segment up, you had mentioned the word emotionally hijacked when going through the All-22, looking at Deshaun in the second quarter, and especially those 3 drives when the game was 7-3 to then 14-3 to then 17-3. You want to walk us through what you mean when you said you thought Deshaun got emotionally hijacked during those biggest moments?
So if we revisit the game, first quarter really, it was a fill-out process. It was 7-3 at the end of the first quarter. Cleveland gets the ball. He's got Elijah Moore wide open in the middle of the field. He kind of throws the ball in the dirt. Low ball, Elijah can't catch it. Should have been 1st and 10. Cleveland should have been on their way to potentially, taking the lead in this game. Next play, David Njoku. And sorry we don't have the actual visual component for this week. Njoku's on like a chip. He chips Micah Parsons, goes in the flat. If Deshaun throws an accurate ball front shoulder, that's probably a first down. Throws the ball behind Njoku. He ends up gaining 7 yards on 3rd and 9. They have to punt. Now, why I bring those up is because these are 2 clean pocket throws where Deshaun is just inaccurate in a game that's 7-3. Dallas goes down, scores a touchdown. Now it's 14-3. He comes back. This was the one I said when he got out of that sack that very few quarterbacks in the league can get out of, but he misses Jordan Akins. Tough throw, but listen, man, he's got to make that because he's capable of making that. Then he comes back after that, and this might have been the worst decision, worst throw of the game. I think he's trying to throw the ball to Amari Cooper, but it looks like it's 5 Cowboys that have a better chance of catching this ball than Amari does. Browns end up punting. Now Dallas is up 17-3. And when you're playing a good team, they got great players, they're going to make some plays. Subsequent 3rd drive of the second quarter, Micah Parsons makes a great play, tips the ball up in the air. It gets intercepted. Dallas now is up 20-3. And just like that, stuff that Deshaun can control. I'm talking about when there's a clean pocket, open wide receiver, I would expect an average NFL quarterback to convert those opportunities and situations. And this is where Deshaun has to improve. He has to make his layups. And by that, I mean when there's a clean pocket, a guy's open, he's too talented to miss these opportunities.
That's excellent stuff right there. And I love your phrasing, emotionally hijacked, because what was a 7-3 game, a few mistakes later, you blink, and now you're down 14 points, and it really, at that point, it felt like there's no coming back. And I felt like, too, the first drive of the second half, I felt like, okay, it's not good, but if you can drive down the field, have a sustained drive, get some plays from Deshaun and score a touchdown, you're in it. They go 3 and out, and then they give up the punt return.
Game over.
Game over.
Yeah.
Like you can go home at that point. And we were all emotionally hijacked at that point.
Yeah.
He's got to make. I love your phrasing. You've got to make your layups.
Shaun, you know the crazy thing about it is, like you said, there were actually some good stuff that he actually did when you watch the All-22. The one Jordan Akins, if he gets out of the crazy blitz, he gets outside of the pocket, and what made Deshaun Watson so lethal back in Houston was he would get out of the pocket and his eyes were downfield, and he would get these huge gains from his receivers, and he just skips the ball. He didn't get enough on it. Do you think, and I asked this question to a lot of people, is it still in there? Is he a guy that can thrive outside of those thrive in chaos and still make plays, or do you think he's more of a guy that needs to learn to be a system guy if he still wants to play in this league as a competent starter?
I feel like he has to exhaust everything at his. He's got to put everything on the table as far as how to get himself into a mentally stable position where his confidence exudes through his body language. Like when you watch Josh Allen play, when you watch Patrick Mahomes play, no matter what's going on in that game, you just look at them, man, they better not get that ball back. They're in trouble. Like, those guys going to make something happen. Sometimes, and this is where I feel like Deshaun has to be honest with himself, his emotions kind of ebb and flow with the outcomes from play to play. He's kind of got like that nonchalant, natural demeanor, and sometimes it comes off as, okay, if we win, cool. If we don't win, cool. Who cares? I got 230 coming. That's how people are going to perceive it, whether that's how he intends to perceive or not. So that's where he's got to start. I don't know if he needs to go, see a specialist. And I'm not saying this from a sarcastic way. Man, sometimes talking to somebody will help you through some stuff, especially when you're mentally, unsure of how to become that apex predator you used to be.
All right, so the Browns have what I consider to be a must-win this week to really get this awful taste out of their mouth of this loss to Dallas. So Jacksonville this weekend, Jacksonville, they lose a tough one to Miami. They're leading the whole damn game. Things are going well, and then all of a sudden things don't go well late for them. What do you see this weekend, this matchup? I mean, Jacksonville's going to be favored by, I think, a field goal or so in this game on the road for the Cleveland Browns, but I don't know, man. I feel like the Browns could be 0-2 real quick.
So, Dustin, I'm going to push back just a little bit.
Okay.
I don't think there's a so-called thing as a must-win game in Week 2 in the NFL. The only reason I say that,
I hear you.
All the Buccaneer teams I was on that ended up going far in the playoffs, we started 3-4 in the first 7. So, when you break up the NFL like most organizations do in the quarters, even if you start 0-2, and I know it's 17 games now, so it's not actually exactly 4-4-4-4, you could still end up 2-2 in that first quarter.
Right.
I think what you need to see in the Jaguars game is an offense that's more in tune with their personnel, a quarterback that's playing with more confidence. What no one's talking about is I don't think Ken Dorsey did a great job of getting Amari Cooper and Jerry Jeudy and Elijah Moore and Njoku and all these guys in space with the football. Like, Nick Chubb is hurt. Jerome Ford is not a 15-plus in-between-the-tackle carry guy. You got to be creative. Get him some swings, some swing passes, some screens. Get him the ball in the open field so he can utilize that elite speed he has. Why isn't Amari Cooper getting opportunities down the field to make contested catches? Why isn't Jerry Jeudy being used more like Cooper Kupp? You saw how the Rams used Cooper Kupp Sunday night, moved him around, got him in mismatches against linebackers. Like, some of this falls on Ken Dorsey as well.
Hey, Shaun, last thing. Obviously, the last couple of years, offense has been trending down. After many, many years of it trending up, it's been going down. This first week of the season, it was the 5th lowest average passing yards per game in about the last 20 years. I think there were 20 quarterbacks that didn't even throw for 200 yards. And we saw points go down last year, but this was even more dramatic in Week 1. Do you think we're going to continue to trend this way with less passing yards for the first time in a long time?
Absolutely, because they're paying the position now instead of the player. So there's a lot of quarterbacks out there with job stability that shouldn't have it. I mean, you can't tell me that Tua is worth as more money than Josh Allen. Like, you can't tell me that Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert deserve to be paid the same level as Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Like, the way the NFL is trending, it doesn't really matter who you are at quarterback. Your contract has got to be up, and they're going to pay you.
Yeah, that seems to be the case.
The complete opposite of running back, Jay. It doesn't matter how good of a player you are at running back. They're not going to pay you.
They'll let you
and
go.
I think that's a dangerous road to go down, and that's why the quarterback play is inadequate, because a lot of guys got job stability that haven't really earned it and don't really deserve it.
That's really interesting. Very interesting. We talked last year. I was making the point that I thought the defenses have caught up. Franchises have just started putting more assets into the defensive side of the ball. they had to because the passing games were really taking over and having their way. Shaun, we got to run. We're going to have you back next week. Phenomenal first job. Great to have you on. We're looking forward to seeing you all season.
Appreciate you.
All right,
Shaun.
fellas, keep. Yep.
Shaun King, he was fun to cover when
Yeah.
I was in Tampa Bay. He was fun to work with when we were both at ESPN. And I have every confidence that he's going to give us great insight on Deshaun Watson all year long.
And
fantastic.
I got something coming with him too that is going to add a little element
Yes.
to these.
Yes, you
Hopefully
do.
we can make that work.
Yes.